everyone, my name is ShaineRiley and welcome to Bookmas. I believe this is going to be day 6. In today's video, it's just going to be an end of the year book tag, some of my favorite books, lowest rated books. We're going to be going through my Goodreads, all that fun stuff. Before we get started, I do have another mug. This one is Santa. It kind of matches, it's just red and then my hoodie's red and stuff. I'm actually just drinking Coke for right now. I did get McDonald's earlier and I don't want my Coke to go to waste. I didn't really drink it that fast because as soon as I ate, I just started recording and other stuff. Tonight I'm gonna make myself hot chocolate though, I will tell you that. I've been craving hot chocolate so bad. Angle has switched. I think I just wanted my books to be behind me because obviously I am a book girly, even though I do like filming my bed / back wall. But to me, I just felt like I couldn't see myself very well. I think it's just because I'm wearing glasses and the glare from the sun. I have my phone ready for all of my end of the year book tag questions that I'm going to be answering. These aren't questions from you guys because I'm still baby small YouTube channel. But I do have questions that I've seen from other videos that I do really like, and I think they're great questions and I would like to answer them for myself. Kind of like a reflection of my reading journey this past year and what goals I want to set for myself next year, which I think is really fun to look back on once the years progress. So we're just going to jump right into it and get started. My reading goal for this year was 50 books and I'm at 47 right now. It's currently halfway through December. And I do know that I'm definitely going to complete 3 more books till the month ends. I know my goal is going to be reached, but I do think that I could have went over it. But at the beginning of this year, I think I downloaded Goodreads halfway through the year or something because I didn't really know about Goodreads. I kind of heard people talking about it, but I just used a bookshelf app. And I think it literally was just called Bookshelf. And it was just basically the same thing as Goodreads, but not as good as Goodreads. It was just so that I could see visually all the books that I had because I didn't want to do book journaling yet because I started halfway through the year actually being okay, I love reading. The 2 years prior I would read 1 or 5 books maybe, the max. I didn't want to do spreadsheets and stuff halfway through the year because I wanted it to be a full book, or not book, but book journal of the whole year. So that was me personally. I was I'm just going to do an app for right now. Sorry, the kids are screaming outside. I also think Goodreads is good for keeping track of your TBR because I don't have all the books on my TBR, which is definitely going to come in a separate video, getting prepared for 2025. I want to add all my books on my TBR so if I go out, I'm not rebuying the same things. I can also compare and see if something is similar to something that I've read and been you know what, I don't think I'm going to like this, or I do think I'm going to like this. So I think that's what's great about Goodreads is you can see everything pretty much at any time during the day, whereas my book journal is just a fun activity that I can physically see, just a fun little hobby that I would like to do. Those first few months, I definitely think that if I were to have read during those months, weeks, whatever it was, I would have definitely went over 50, but it's okay. I know that next year I do want my goal to be a little bit higher. So the next question is my most disappointing book of the year. I actually need to look at my Goodreads for that because, let's see. Oh, I think I know it. Well, actually, hold on. I think my most disappointing book this year was, what is it? Love in the Time of Serial Killers, just because I genuinely thought it was gonna be a book about possibly there being a serial killer in it, or that there was lots of spooky things happening, and then towards the end of the book you're oh wait, this person's not crazy. Whereas at the beginning of the book you just find out that this girl really has kind of obsessed about serial killers. There's one brief moment where you possibly think that this dude is crazy, it's her neighbor. Turns out he's not, and then the rest of the book is literally just them falling in love. So the whole serial killer aspect is just thrown out the window practically. For me at least, I kind of was really disappointed by it because I thought it was going to be super crazy. The author is Alicia Thompson. I do think she has amazing book covers. There's actually another book that I want to read by her. I forgot what it's called, but it's a baseball romance, and I think she does have another one. I rated that book a 2. I do have other books that I rated a 2, so it's not super horrible compared to other books, because if it was the only book that I rated a 2, then yeah, that'd be pretty bad. It was just something because I went into it expecting one thing. There was a happy ending, it was a romance book, but I just was really wow, this sucks. It was not what I thought it was gonna be. I barely got into fantasy, so I feel my answer is kind of a weak answer because there's a lot of crazier books out there that have been more popular and mainstream, but for me it was kind of just like a romance book I read at the beginning and I was like, this is not what I was expecting. My best book of the year. I think this is, I have a few really good books, like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. There's a few quotes in that book that I would love to get like little tattoos of. Some people think The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue was too slow. For me, I did not think that. I think the whole story in itself was great, but I do think that the meaning of it meant way more coming out of it after reading it. It was like, whoa. That like impacted me more than I thought it would. So for me, I think in theory that would be the best book of the year. But my best book of the year had to be 100% One Dark Window. It was my first, I think, fantasy, for sure dark fantasy book I've ever read. And I fell in love with fantasy books. I immediately jumped into the second book. I've never ever done that in a series, interconnected series, whatever you want to call it. I just never have done that because I get bored. Or not even bored, I would say. It's just I want to jump to the next thing because I have so many books. That's why I jump around so much when I'm reading. I'm a mood reader. I cried at the end of that book, which was crazy. Next question is a book that surprised me. I think I'm gonna have to say either Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, because I read House Across the Lake first. I did like it, but it wasn't anything crazy special to me, so I think that's why I kind of just like, okay. I love Riley Sager. I think he's my first favorite horror thriller author, whatever you want to call it. But that was the first book and I did enjoy it, but the second book I read by him, it was crazy to me. Like, I absolutely loved it. I read it so fast. It was actually really creepy to me, but it was so interconnected. Like, it was investigative, kind of like a whodunit situation. I really enjoyed Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This is a book that I thought would surprise me, but didn't. So I'm gonna have to look on my Goodreads again. So the book that I'm talking about, the video hasn't come out for it yet, but I thought I was gonna be super shocked and surprised by this one book. I read it. The book is Quicksilver. I did enjoy it. I'm not going to tell you my rating, but I thought it was going to be different than what it was, so that's why it was like, I thought it would surprise me. It didn't really. So that's what I have to say for that for right now. I'm not going to say very much because that reading vlog hasn't come out yet. So I'm going to have to go back to some of the first few books that I mentioned on this channel. And the question is a book that I would recommend. I would definitely say something more emotional. I thought I would never ever say that, but I do really like emotional books. So it's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, The Song of Achilles, or A Little Life. A Little Life does touch on very deep topics. I really did like all of them. I would say The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, 100% out of all of them, would read. It was such a deep story. It was so meaningful at the end. It made so much sense. It wrapped up. It was perfect to me. I rated that one a 5 stars. So I know I already mentioned The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, but I really did enjoy that book. I would recommend that one 100% for next year. If anyone's thinking about it, on the fence, definitely read it. The next two questions are my lowest rated book on Goodreads and my highest rated book on Goodreads. So I'm just gonna figure those out, see what my app says, and I will tell them to you guys. So my highest rated book on Goodreads that I've read is The Song of Achilles. I did rate that a 5, and then my lowest rated, I'm scared, my lowest rated book is Icebreaker. For me, I rated that one a 2. It's not that it was bad, I just think I was reading it during a reading slump, and at the time, this was before I had my YouTube channel, I just read it. After it, I was like, didn't really care for it. Like, it took me forever to get through. It was about hockey, but because they were in college, I think that was just something that I was like, it's hard for me to deal with. Also, the main character, she does go to therapy for things, and I think at the time it was just kind of matching up with my mental state with certain things I was going through, and I just couldn't get through it. I did finish it eventually, but it took me forever. Okay, so the book that I'm most excited for next year, this isn't, I feel like, anything super crazy. I feel like other people have better answers, but I would say Onyx by Rebecca Yarros. I read Fourth Wing. That was the first ever kind of dragon book that I got into, and in my mind was blown. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing, so great. And because now I'm getting into more fantasy, that's something that I definitely want to get into a little bit more. A series that I want to get into, I already bought this. I believe I showed the book haul in one of my last videos, but it's the Zodiac Academy. There's 12 books in this series. I think that's not counting some of the novellas that are in it. I definitely want to read it. There's like, I think it's like gothic vibes. It's just something that I've heard so many great things about. I've heard definitely mixed opinions, but the fact that it's 12 books in this series and it's such a big popular series, whether you've liked it or not, it's something that I want to read, so that's what I'm most excited for series-wise. A series that I want to finish this year, I think it's the Belladonna series, because I just read that book pretty recently during, during Thanksgiving time, and I want to read the second too. What helps me get out of reading slumps? I would definitely say changing between actual physical books and my Kindle, or getting outside and reading, because different scenery definitely helps, or like when I reorganize, declutter my room, I'm definitely someone who needs a clean space in order to have like a clear head, and it's something that helped me a lot. Next question makes me a little sad, because it's like, what books are you not really gonna buy next year? Because I love to buy books, but I've now figured out my reading style, what I gravitate towards too, and that is definitely not summerish books. So not that I'm not gonna be reading summer books, because I do like summertime books a little bit, I will say. They're not something I lean towards, just because I'm definitely a cozy winter time girl, and now that I love fantasy, I just feel like this is the perfect time to read it. Anything cozy, witchy, vampires, I absolutely love. Dark romance, anything like that. So I bought a lot of summertime-ish books, and I notice now that I'm probably not going to get to a lot of them. There are a lot of summer-ish ones from certain authors that I definitely know I need to get to, like Emily Henry, Abby Jimenez, authors like that. I think I definitely want to read. I feel like they're such great authors. They're so talked about. These books are so talked about. So I do have a few of them from certain authors, and I definitely am going to read them, because I just have to know if I like them. But I know that it's so much more harder for me to get into summer romances, so instead of just reading stuff about the beach and summertime, I'm going to be reading cowboy romance, I'm going to be reading about sports, race cars, F1, things like that, because it's still romance, it's still light, but because it's associated with sports and outdoorsy things, my brain is like, summertime. And that's also what I'm gonna try not to buy as much of, because I just don't end up reading it. So I'm gonna be very picky with the summer romances that I buy. That's gonna be books that I'm not really gonna be buying this year, but I do have a few on my radar from authors that have not come out yet. Another series that I would recommend is Heartstopper. It's a graphic novel. There is a show. I do want to watch the show. I do know that the 6th one's coming out. I don't know when, if it's probably gonna be this upcoming year, but I've just heard such great things about the show. Have not watched the show. I read the first 5 graphic novels. I want to read the 6th one, and after I read the 6th one, then I want to watch the show. I'm probably going to do a whole video recap of the ones that I read, my ratings, reading the 6th one, and then watching the whole show. So that's something that I have planned like far out in advance. But that's something that I also would recommend. It's so fast, so short, so sweet. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing. So, some book girlies that I like to watch in case you're kind of stuck wanting to watch more people. For me, I love to watch Sarah. I like to watch Emmy. I like to watch Madison Kate. Ella Rose reads, Ellen. I love to watch Ellen. And then, who else? Rachel, I believe it's Rachel Raven reads, something like that. She mostly reads fantasy. And then there's one more person. Oh, Alexa Ray I watch. I think that's kind of it for me. Their vibes are very clean aesthetic, and they post very consistently. I just love how clean her aesthetic is, but then my vibes are more like Sarah, like the coziness and being surrounded by a bunch of little knickknacks. I really like Emmy, because she is very business driven, and she gives a lot of great feedback, like social media content wise, because she does run a marketing business. Then for me, social media goals. I want to post once a day on Instagram and once a day on TikTok. I used to post on TikTok before I started YouTube, and on YouTube for sure minimum twice a week, and I want to try to squeeze in 2 more videos a month. So if I post twice a week and there's 4 weeks in a month, that's 8 videos. But if I post 2 extra videos, that's 10 videos a month that I would love to consistently put out, because I am still growing as a channel, but I have so many fun things that I would like to do, or I have like consistent videos that I would like to get done every single month so that there's like a rhythm to things in my life. So that's my goal for social media wise. Then a reading goal for me is on my Goodreads. I definitely want to do a video like right before we get into January, before the new year starts. I do want to kind of like get my life together on social media, declutter my room again, my wardrobe, everything like that. But I want to add all of the books that are on my physical TBR onto my Goodreads just so that I can see everything. Also declutter a lot of books. But a reading goal of mine is 100 books I would like to read next year before the year ends. I definitely think I can get 100 books done, possibly a little bit more than 100. I'm kind of shooting for 125, but I want my goal to be 100. So that's my last kind of question prompt for the day. 100 books. That is my goal. So I know this video is probably going to be a little bit shorter. I'm rambling, I'm out of breath. I feel like because I'm someone who hasn't read a ton of books, especially within the past year, I feel like I've been like catching up. There's so many books from the previous years that were really popular, then books that are like currently coming out that are popular, but I'm trying to like prioritize all of them in a way. I feel like I didn't have that much to talk about in this video, but I know next year it's going to be fun to compare how many books I actually read and things like that. So I am excited for next year, what next year holds, all that fun stuff from my booktube, my YouTube, whatever you want to call it, for Instagram, TikTok, or any other social media app that I possibly decide to use. I'm really excited to see my growth, to see what my aesthetic looks like, because I'm still trying to figure that out. That's it for today's YouTube video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying Bookmas so far. I have so many more fun things to do this month. Now my time span is a little bit shorter, but it's totally okay. Family comes first. I did have a family emergency, but now I'm back into the groove of things. Make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye.